Six Flags is an amusement park chain that adds a new ride to each one of their parks every year, but many times new additions require some sacrifice. And to get the most room, you have to sacrifice a coaster. Today, I will be talking about which coasters I see getting removed next from each Six Flags park in alphabetical order. First up is Frontier City. This is one of two newly acquired parks in the chain, and I honestly don't see any coasters leaving it for a long time. It's a very small park that probably won't get any huge rides put into it, so there won't be much of a need for a huge amount of space. But if I really have to make a prediction, I'll say Wildcat. This is a really strange Woody built by an obscure company, and it doesn't look like it does much. If Six Flags thinks it would turn a profit, maybe they could replace it with another, more modern coaster. Probably not, but you never know. Next up is The Great Escape, another very small park that I don't see anything leaving in the near future. This is way easier though, as they have an outdated and not too well liked aero looper at their park. While I personally still enjoy these coasters, I'm in the minority and they're all slowly leaving. This coaster's name is Steamin' Demon, and I can't see it standing for more than 10 to 15 years anymore. Time for the park that everyone seems to despise because of one rather infamous video, La Ronde. They have removed two coasters fairly recently, with the Intamin stand-up Cobra in 2016, and the awful Vekoma Looper Super Menage in 2019. However, they could still have multiple coasters that could easily close and no one would bat an eye. These are Monster, Boomerang, Ednor, and kinda sadly, their new for 2020 edition, Vipère. Monster could definitely be ready for the RMC treatment if Six Flags wanted it, as they had far less issues with their RMCs when compared to Cedar Fair. Boomerangs are just boring at this point as they are everywhere, but Six Flags still seems to like them, and this one got a repaint fairly recently, so I doubt this is going anywhere. Ednor is an SLC, but much like Boomerangs, the GP and Six Flags still like them, so again, it's safe. I'm one to say that I think Vipère will actually be good away from the California laws, so that just leaves Monster. The most likely option for this coaster is RMC, but in the end, who really knows? Six Flags doesn't add many big things to La Ronde, so it may just get torn down for nothing. Six Flags America is another park with a couple coasters that I could see going soon. First is Roar, one of the first GCIs ever built, and apparently one of the worst. I don't think it looks all that bad, but I've heard very few good things about it. The common idea seems to be RMC, as the other Roar that used to operate at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom already took that path, and it has been a success. The other option for coasters getting removed is Batwing. I sincerely hope this doesn't happen, as I love Flying Dutchman coasters, and apparently Batwing is the best one left. However, this model is discontinued by Vekoma and is getting harder and harder to get parts for, making its lifespan limited. Mind Racer is apparently also awful, but the more likely situation there is that it gets new trains with vest restraints. My final guess is Roar, and that it would get the RMC treatment. I would expect this to happen within the next 5 years, but we'll see. From one possible RMC to the next with Six Flags Darien Lake. They have a supposedly awful wooden coaster called Predator, and I think most people, especially Chris of Airtime Thrills, fully expect this coaster to get the Iron Horse treatment within the next few years. I personally think it looks fine as is because I enjoy rough rides, but I have heard quite a few enthusiasts say that it is a painful and pointless ride. Because of this, I do have to agree that maybe it would be more successful as an RMC. Another D Six Flags park is an interesting case. I have one fairly common thought, and then one that is strange, but I'll do my best to justify. The first for Six Flags Discovery Kingdom is Flash Vertical Velocity. Airtime Thrills brought this up in his video about coasters that could be gone in the next 5 years, and I understand where he is coming from, as the ridership on it is apparently quite low, and it has massive amounts of downtime. But it isn't the only coaster in the park to suffer from the latter issue. Not too far away is the second, hopefully soon to be third newest coaster at Discovery Kingdom, Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster. Yes, I consider it a coaster, but let's not get into that quite yet. I will probably have a full video coming soon covering the background of Skyline and why this coaster kinda ended up a piece of garbage, but here's the short version, and why I think it could soon be removed. Nobody likes it. Apparently it is insanely rough for how new it is unnecessarily loud, and it has ridiculous amounts of downtime. None of these things are generally wanted in a roller coaster, but all of them exist on Harley. That clearly isn't good, and it may lead to this ride's demise coming sooner rather than later. So I'm going unpopular and saying this is my pick to go next. Fiesta Texas is one of the most well thought of parks in the chain, but that doesn't mean all of its coasters are perfect. This is a hard one though, because I really don't see any of them leaving. There are two main options I see, which are Boomerang and Poltergeist. Boomerang is here because, well, it's a boomerang, but as stated previously, Six Flags still likes these rides. That leaves Poltergeist. I don't feel confidently about this at all, but the reason I even consider it is because of its issues with valleying. Due to most of the first half taking place quite high off the ground, the train can easily get stuck in a valley between curves when it is running slower. This makes it a pain to get down, as you have to either winch it or dismantle the train entirely. After that, you have to do a whole lot more testing until you can finally be sure that it will run smoothly again until it starts the cycle over. I think eventually Six Flags will have had enough with this issue and call it quits on Poltergeist, although I kinda hope they don't. Marking the halfway point is Six Flags Great Adventure. I again think the coasters here are probably going to be safe, but I have three picks. Bizarro, Green Lantern, and Dark Knight. Bizarro sits in an area of the park that I have heard from many frequent visitors is hard to find unless you come to the park a lot, and for those who do not know how to find it, it is inconvenient. This probably takes a toll on its ridership. Green Lantern is a stand-up coaster, which is a model that is slowly fading away. Dark Knight is an indoor wild mouse that is extremely irrelevant, so much so that I often forget it exists. Beyond that, there just isn't much to it and it isn't very unique in any way. Of these three, I'm saying that Dark Knight is the most likely to go. Normally I would never assume a family coaster, but Skull Mountain still exists. From great to great, this time Great America. A couple options here with American Eagle and Vertical Velocity. Vertical Velocity has been rumored for a while, but now we have some real evidence for American Eagle's death. It has been featured in some really stupid videos made by the park, but more importantly, and the thing that everybody seems to be talking about, is that it was left out of the Max Force announcement animation. Could this mean it's demolition? Or more? Another RMC conversion, perhaps? I'm going to say that I don't think it will be RMC'd. While it is possible, apparently there's some issue with the law and highway, so if that is actually true, then it cannot stand legally for much longer. Six Flags did look into RMCing it before, but when they got Goliath instead, I really think it threw Eagle off the table. Some people say they'll be different enough and that Fiesta Texas has two RMCs so it'll be fine, but you have to remember that in Texas, one of the RMCs is a single rail. Here, both would feel and look like hybrid coasters. As good as it would be, I don't see it happening, although I do still think American Eagle is going to say its final goodbyes soon. The biggest park and the flagship park, the park with the most coasters in the world, Six Flags Magic Mountain, is up. This is easy. Viper is the final remaining Aero Mega Looper in operation. While it has gotten some TLC recently, it is very low in the ridership department. If it really does get removed, I would honestly be very sad. I love aero coasters, and Viper looks like it could be one of the best out there. Please go ride and appreciate this beauty so we can give it a chance. Six Flags Mexico is another park with a Dark Knight clone, and this is also the next coaster that I see leaving. I don't think it actually will, but everything else here seems perfectly safe, so it's about all I got. Six Flags New England is yet another park with a coaster that features insane amounts of downtime. Goliath is a giant inverted boomerang that has slowly been becoming more and more doomed since it was relocated to this park and given the horrid premier terrains that it still operates with. Now it is rarely open, and even when it is, nobody wants to ride this thing. There's no way Six Flags can justify keeping it around for too much longer. We're on the home stretch now, with the last three parks, and ironically enough, the first three parks that began the chain. Six Flags Over Georgia is up first, and I'm honestly struggling with this one. I would have said Ninja a few years ago, but now Blue Hawk looks quite good. Then there's Great American Scream Machine, which is old, but it's also a classic icon and an Ace Coaster landmark that still gets its fair share of love. So, my final pick is Dahlonega Mine Train. This is a mine train definitely on the tamer side, and it's getting pretty old. I doubt too many people really love it anymore, so it's definitely expendable. The first ever Six Flags park is going to tear down Judge Roy Scream next, at least I think. Six Flags Over Texas already has an RMC hybrid, which probably throws that option away, and Judgery Scream looks like a pretty underwhelming and boring Woody, not to mention it doesn't even sit in the park. It is a classic, but I don't see it having a longer lifespan than anything else in the park. Finally is my debatably beloved home park, Six Flags St. Louis. I probably don't even have to say this one, but I have just about no doubt that Ninja will be the next coaster removed. I'll be honest, it has started to grow on me lately, but that's not the case for most people. The majority of enthusiasts and the public think it is an awful ride with few redeeming factors. If you need proof, take a trip down to Six Flags St. Louis if it opens again this season and check out the queue, or rather lack of a queue. No one rides Ninja anymore. Good riddance, my first looping coaster. You'll be missed by at least 3 people. That's it for this video of what I expect to be the next coasters removed from each Six Flags park. Remember that this is all speculation, so please take it with a grain of salt. Also, if you're watching this and you aren't subscribed, make sure to click that red button next to my channel name and logo to help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers by July. It would really help me out, as few things make me happier than seeing people watching and enjoying my content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.